everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey, and I am from Carolina Girl Genealogy. And look at this crew we've got with us tonight. I'm so excited. We've got Kathryn Hogan, Looking for Ancestors, is here with us. Mary Kircher Roddy from MKR Genealogy is here.
Hi there.
Hey. Shelley Murphy, Family Tree Girl. And last but absolutely not least, before we introduce our special guest, is Christine Woodcock, and she is Genealogy Tours of Scotland.
Hey, everybody.
I'm so glad you're all here. We've had a couple of weeks hiatus because of winter break, Christmas break, but we're back tonight, and we have a special guest. One of our special guests, many, many things that she does, Tami Osmer Mize, is she is the brains behind Conference Keeper, along with every other hat in the world that she wears. And so we asked her tonight to come on and talk to y'all about it, because if you don't know Conference Keeper, you are missing out a lot of genealogy information. And you just received an award, a scholarship.
A grant.
A grant, thank you, a grant. And so I thought, what better time for you to come on and talk to everybody about Conference Keeper. So all righty, tell us a little bit how this idea started and you've got it up and running.
Well, Ewan Langhoff and I were always having fun trying to share genealogy information since we worked together at WikiTree and we got along great. And we just liked the idea of sharing genealogy information. And she came across Jen Baldwin's site called Conference Keeper. And Jen had started it back in 2012, and basically she would post major conferences. And but Jen got busy with other things, and it sort of languished.
And you weren't busy at all.
No. But Ewan and I want to say that we lusted after her site, because we loved the idea of being able to compile all of this information into one website. And so we talked with Jen, and Jen was happy to let us take it over, and we sort of took over and went a mile a minute with it, and we just had so much fun with it. Now, after about the first year or two, Ewan herself got busy with other projects, and so it kind of left me. But I enjoy it so much, and it's behind it all, it's the site that I wanted to find for myself. So it's kind of a very selfish website in that I wanted a place where I could find calls for papers and genealogy contests and major conferences and all that information that I used to have to spend a lot of time searching the web for.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than wanting to submit presentation proposals to a conference and finding out that it closed last week.
Oh yeah. That's
so
frustrating.
That's the story behind it.
I got to tell you a little thing about Ewan. I've known her since she was a teenager.
Oh, really? Oh, you know all her stories.
Yeah, I've noticed that she was a teenager. We both lived in New Mexico, and we went to the same church. So I've known her since she was a teenager.
I did not. I wouldn't, knowing that you live in the same state as me now, I would never have thought you were on the other side of the country. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny. We see each other at conferences and go, oh! It's just really funny.
Well, Tami and I discovered that we went to college together.
We did. We had this alma mater, UC Riverside.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a small genealogy world, isn't it?
And we just rediscovered each other a few years ago.
Right, on Second Life, no less.
Yes.
Oh, Second Life. All righty. Well, panel members, what do you use Conference Keeper for?
I love receiving the emails. I mean,
Okay.
the alerts. And when she adds new things to them coming out. So I think it just keeps me in the loop no matter what. And I scroll through, look at what I'm looking for, either a conference or call for paper or something that's going on. I absolutely love it. I think I've been following you since you got started on that.
It's been, this is our fourth. We started in 2016, 17, 18, 19. So we've been doing it for 4 years. Yeah.
Wow. I love the fact that you've got the contests on there too. And especially as a Roots Tech ambassador, I've always got to send, do a contest and get out free Roots Tech passes. And it's great because you put it on your site as well, and then other people can find it. And so,
Yeah.
because I always feel guilty because I want to give one to everybody that enters, and so I always send them, go see Tami, go see Tami, find the rest of them if you don't win.
Well, just because I'm ambassador for Roots Tech also, I've noticed in the years that we've done it that the number of entrants has increased. And I think it's because of Conference Keeper, because people know where to look to find all of the entries.
Because you can just click and enter every one of them.
Yeah.
And your chances are you're going to win at that point. So
yep.
I know Christine said to me, well, I'm coming on tonight because that's my go-to.
It is my go-to.
Oh, thank you.
It is. Tami, have you changed something on the website? Because the emails are starting to show up in my spam folder, and that's only in the last 2 weeks.
About a month or 2 months ago, I changed my email sending program. I was getting close to the 2,000 limit on MailChimp that's free.
Right.
And so I found another one that's run by Sumo, SendFox, and so I switched to that, and that's really the only thing that's changed was sending the emails.
Okay.
So that I wouldn't be surprised if that's the cause of it, though.
Well, it happened last week, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then when it happened, I just saw this notice for junk, and I thought, junk? And I went in there, and I'm like, that's not junk! That's reading!
That's really funny. We talked about the call for papers, and there might be some people watching that don't know what that is, because I know that we've got a lot of new people just coming into genealogy, and they don't really know what calls for papers means.
Well, I would be happy to explain that. Calls for papers are when conferences or societies or any group in particular is looking for someone to come and speak at their event. And even for new genealogists, what you may find is that you get so excited about genealogy and your family does not want to hear about it.
Really?
So there is nothing better than finding an audience to which you can stand up and speak for an hour in front of about what you're passionate about, and they listen and they want to be there. So, but that's what calls for papers for. It's and anybody can submit either events or calls for papers. Any society that's looking for speakers for an event, it's the site is completely free, which is why I'm so grateful for the grant, because it's not free for me to run, but I look at it as a hobby. But anybody can submit them. Anybody can use the site. So if you're a genealogy speaker, you want to put some proposals out there, you can see who's looking and submit.
You can also put your group's events on there too. So if you have a society or a club or whatever that may be, you can stick those on the calendar as well. So that if I know a lot of people, especially retired people, as they're traveling, we get a lot of them in our genealogy club, and they found us because they look at places with the calendars, because they're thinking, well, I'm traveling, let me see if there's a genealogy group there, or they're going someplace specifically to research and they want to see if there's a genealogy group there and if they happen to be having a meeting. So it's fabulous that you've got this calendar that people can just look on and see what's going to be going on when they're there, or they can plan their vacation time around
that's
a
me.
group meeting. Yeah, because isn't that what we do?
That is. And when we started it out, we were really focusing on major events, on seminars and conferences and everything. But so many societies, have incredibly informative presentations and programs every month that I just decided I start adding those regularly. Some of them are just on the calendar as repeats, and as people send me what the program's going to be, I'll add that. And then only recently we also started adding virtual, because at first we were staying back from it because there was another genealogy website that was doing just webinars, but there are so many societies and companies, Legacy Family Tree, we just added, I think, 95 new webinars for the year on there. And but that's something, again, that I would want to look for.
Right.
So.
And here, see, it's all in one place. You can just go to the website and look at it. We had talked about you taking us to the website and kind of showing us around a little bit.
Sure. If you would, I'm not quite sure. Just let me know when I'm
Now, Chris, you have done this before. She just needs to go and click on
Just
share
go,
screen,
yeah,
right?
just go
Yeah.
on to the panel at the bottom
Yeah, and
and
click
share
share
screen.
screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Just while you're doing that, Tammy, you know, it's funny, but I don't know how long I've been subscribing, but I'm guessing it's pretty close to the beginning. And you used to get the email and you'd go through it and you'd be, you know, half a dozen events. And now it's like half an hour. So, I mean, kudos to you, because it really is so popular and people now are aware that that's where they place their information. And you know what? I think it's fabulous for genealogy societies don't have a huge budget for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Oh,
a place
right.
where
True.
people can go and find it. You know, they can advertise their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully get a few more people showing up. I mean, it's
Right.
fabulous to be able to do that.
Well, you know, I've read recently where people are bemoaning the fact that societies are losing attendance or they're closing up or anything like that. And you know, I hate to see that happening. And like I said, there's so many societies putting on these incredible programs, and whether it's a webinar or a live presentation or even just a program within their group.
Yep.
There's so much good stuff going on. So, okay.
So just click the arrow there and you're good to
Gotcha.
go.
Chris is going to be my cousin Russ tonight, right?
Yeah. I need to grow a beard.
No,
Sometimes the mustache happens, but I need to get a beard.
A hat too.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so I want to. Oh, there. Then share screen. Okay. We there?
Just about.
There we
we
go.
are.
I love your graphics too. I really
you.
love the way the site looks.
I love hearing that. You know, and that's one of my hats. It's graphic design, so that helps in building websites.
Yeah.
So this is the main home screen when you come onto it, and you can see under the tabs you can get to places by going by the. If you want to see just a list of conferences, you can go there. The calendar shows everything. Right now, I think we have just under 600 current events, and that doesn't include any of the recurring meetings. So
Wow.
that's what we've got
incredible.
today. Under locations, for example, well, I'll go to this now. So under locations, like say if you want in the US, you wanted to see what was nearby, it'll bring up a calendar, and then you pick on a state and click on it, and then it'll bring up Kansas. And every state will look pretty much like this. We have a few links at the top to some standard good sites for research in that state, and then it just goes through listing by what's coming up next and where it is. And if you want to find out more about that event, you can click on it. It'll bring up a full detail, and it almost always will include a link to the original event, so that if you wanted to go to their site and get more information, get directions, anything like that, you can do that. And also I do that to help drive people to the websites for the societies and all, because they can learn more about the society or the museum or whatever that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, let's go back home. On the home screen, I try to make it really easy for people to get where they want to go when they first go to the home screen. Any of these are buttons. You can go to the calendar also from here, by location, conferences, grants and scholarships. That's where I learned about the Seat and Shields grant, was adding that to the calendar. That's the one that Megan Smoleniak sponsors quarterly. And she very generously will give to someone who is doing something important with their own genealogy, or for a group, or for anything like that. And so that's how I learned about it. I have a page for volunteer opportunities. I believe a lot obviously in genealogy volunteerism. Obviously this is all volunteer work for me here. But I also, if a group has an ongoing project, you can go in here, like Benai Feldstein's CSI, crowdsourced indexing. You can click on any one of these and it will take you to those projects if you want to spend a couple of minutes doing some transcribing or anything like that.
Well, that's great, because I know that a lot of societies are looking for projects, and so they can come here and look and see what's available.
Right.
There's
some really neat ones out there.
Yeah, to go find, instead of, sometimes you get online and you can't really find anything, but here it's all aggregated into one page. And so You can just find something you think, or you can just pull it up and say, look, we've got all these, let's vote. Which one do you want to do? You know?
We did that in one group that I'm in. That's how we decided on our volunteer project.
Exactly.
Library of Virginia on there?
I Library of Virginia.
Not, I'm gonna get it up there.
Yeah,
Oh,
please.
there
They
you
do
go.
transcribe.
Yep,
And
Any if they have a project and a project page that we can link to, we are happy to add that.
absolutely.
And you notice I use the royal we. I am happy to get it up there.
Yes, and it's ongoing, and it's volunteer, and you know, people from all over the world actually do some of the transcribing. Well, Virginia, think about it.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, we're heading for an anniversary because they started the library started in 1823. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So Shelley, that's a good point. Anybody watching, if you are involved with some kind of project that you want to get on this page for other people to find out about, well, then get on here and submit it, and Tami will get it on.
Right, and so while we're talking, we mentioned the word submitting. I've got the submissions tab here. You can click on that, and it will bring up a form. Let's see, which I have to iterate very clearly, not gynecology, not chemistry, not nursing, and yet every week I get 2 to 3 bizarre conferences in, you know, some other country that have absolutely nothing to do with this. So,
oh goodness,
this is the form. It's very
That's
simple.
hysterical.
I review everything before it actually gets on the calendar, so you don't have to stress too much about it. If you don't know how to fill out a field, either guess or just write something else, or down in the description, you know, whatever. Now, another thing too is if you have, you can attach files if you have a logo or a you know, design that goes with your event. You can attach that as well. And if you have recurring events or things that you want added to the calendar, then you don't want to sit and enter, you know, 10 different submission forms. You can email me at info@conferencekeeper.org, and I'm always happy to pull things in and get them set up as well. If you've got, you know, several entries or if you just have questions, the info@conferencekeeper.org. I'm always monitoring and happy to respond.
She's always awake 24/7.
Pretty much.
I've got a question I just have to ask, because there are so many things on this. How many hours a week do you spend doing this?
Do you know?
It's one of those things I really don't want to know.
I have those things, yeah.
I do know, I spend about an hour. It takes about an hour to put together the email and I try and do that every Sunday afternoon. Yesterday I was out of town, so I was sitting at my in-laws' kitchen table at 9 o'clock at night trying to get it out. But so I spend about an hour there, but throughout the week, I check my email every couple of days and try to get things added. I have a lot of automation built in to it so that I don't, you know, with the calendar, I don't have to go in and type things in. I use some automation programs, which Megan's grant is helping with, so that when you enter something, it goes into a database, and when I review it and check that I've reviewed it, it automatically transfers to the calendar, basically.
That's great.
So,
well, we're grateful that you received that grant so that you
Thank you, Megan.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
So, do historical societies ever submit items?
I haven't gotten many from historical societies. On occasion I do. A lot of times I'll go out and find things as well. Like I said, this is almost a hobby for me as well. So, what I'll do is I'll look at the list of what I have, you know, the 600 or so that are in there, and I'll sort them by state. And if I think a state is weak, I'll go start looking for events in that state to get them added in.
Oh, wow.
And my goal is, when I have some more time even, is to get much more about Canada in there. We have the Canadian map.
Canadian.
That's the one. And we have it, all the territories are in there, and you can click on them. But right now, there's sadly only just a few things in there, and that's a lot because they're not submitting them, and I haven't had a chance really to get out there because I've been trying to fill out my U.S. ones. But you can see there's a few of them in here. The Manitoba Genealogy Conference, and then just to show you too, am I still on the screen? You still watching my
Yes.
screen?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see
Yeah,
it.
just before you do that, they've canceled that conference in Manitoba.
Oh dear, thank you. I will check into that. That's sad. On the calendar, this is what the entire calendar looks like. So this has everything from everybody. So for example, if we went to a Saturday, it would pull up
Wow.
all of those things. That's just that one Saturday alone.
How fun.
But that to me, looking at this view is hideously annoying because you're seeing it from everything. So it's so much more easy to just go to a location, and let's pull up Minnesota. I just added something there, I think.
Just click on a state.
Just click on any state and it'll bring it up eventually. But something I do want to show you too, because this is really helpful as well. So right here, I don't know if you can see where my little pointer is. At the top of the green box on the right side, you have Pinboard, Agenda, and Monthly. You can look at this calendar as a monthly view. You can look at it in the agenda view, which personally I find the easiest, and then you can also look at it in a pinboard view, which you just want to glance around.
That's great.
That's nice. I haven't tried that view. I like that.
Yep. So that's just some stuff. What are any other questions that I can help you with?
I'm really intrigued on the Historical Society. I'm part of a large historical society that's revamping itself and doing a lot of changes. And put it this way, the foot traffic that comes through there is because of the location. Pretty much the United States, people can come from anywhere from the United States. People come in, it's the Albemarle Charlottesville Historical Society in Virginia. And because you got 3 historical homes, within 30 minutes of where the Historical Society is at, you've got Thomas Jefferson's Monticello, you got Monroe's Highlands, and then down the road you have James Madison's Montpelier. And all the historical societies in Central Virginia are trying to come together and share information. And I think, well, this is another place, because even though we're in the Nix County or whatever it is, we don't always know what everybody else is doing, what events and things. So I'm really liking that. It's an opportunity that folks can market and make people aware. Monticello, I believe, has 1 to 2 million visitors a year.
Wow.
And so why wouldn't that be another place of draw, type thing, would be Conference Keeper. And they hold, not necessarily called the conference, but they hold these talks when you got 2,000 people attending and things. So I just think it's another venue, now that I'm looking at it more than just genealogy, which it all links to. But I think that's an untapped resource for the historical societies. I really do. Or your state libraries, too. Because they have, the Library of Virginia puts on a family history day every year with speakers from all over the place,
Yeah, they need to.
Our speaker last year, keynote, Judy Russell was. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the year before. And it was just fabulous. And you have a couple hundred people that show up,
Well, I do try to, Library of Virginia is one that I do try to keep an eyeball on to see, what they've got going on, to make sure that there's going to be anything of interest that I can pull in. And I do put a lot of their things on our calendar, but they're not submitting those to me. When people submit things to me, it's a whole lot easier.
I will submit the Library of Virginia things.
If you have a if you have a printout, because a lot of societies are starting to do this for me as well. When they have their schedule for the year of who their speakers are at their monthly meetings, they'll send me a copy of that, and then I can just go back in and update the monthly meeting.
Oh,
So if you have, rather, like I said, with the submission form, rather than
Yeah.
submitting 12 different
Okay.
forms with,
yes.
I'm happy
Yeah.
to info@conferencekeeper.org. I'm happy to take it there.
Well,
Wonderful.
we had talked a couple of times about people getting emails. If you want to get on that email list, where do you go?
When you go to the website, when you pull up any page on the website, the first time you do it in a week, it won't do it for me now
Right,
because
because yeah,
You'll-
you're on
they'll-
it all the time.
right.
So
I'm
you'll
That's
on-
get
not
you'll
it
get
on
a
the right?
so you will get a pop-up and
there's a pop-up
okay.
in the center, and there's also a little blue circle that comes in the top right that just kind of sits there if you
Okay.
want to subscribe as well.
Okay. And I see on the right-hand side, I see something
And
that says receive a weekly news events. Can you
Yep.
just
Right.
that's
okay.
another, you can
That's another
subscribe
one.
there.
Okay.
I try to
Okay.
make it as easy as
Very
possible.
easy. Yeah. And so
We
then you're in the know and you know what's
right,
yeah.
and not everybody wants to go to a website all the time, so I post a lot of events on Twitter.
Mhm.
I hopefully, I mean, if you want, you can just go to the Twitter feed and scroll through to see what's coming up, but that's generally what goes on there is upcoming events, and I often more major ones than just local meetings.
Right.
And then we also post things on Facebook and occasionally on Instagram when I find I have extra time.
You know, the grants and the scholarships is a good place to go too, because using that, I won one to Slig a couple of years ago.
Oh,
That's
excellent.
where I found out about it, and
There are, just
yeah,
to click on that, I'll show you, there are
yeah.
so many. There's
Look at that free
awards.
DNA test.
Yeah. There's
Wow.
all these different grants, and then there's scholarships for the different specific events, and there's just all sorts of things. So yeah, especially if you plan on attending events, you want to look and see if you can get there for free.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is a website every genealogist needs to know about. I mean, they just do,
I
because
agree.
you've got everything right there. And you work so hard. Look at that at the top. You've got tours and cruises and more. I mean, look at all this stuff that
Yeah.
you've got on here, you know?
Well, one of the things that I'm my next edition is going to be education venues, different like
Oh.
programs where, like, Boston University, and
Mhm.
but just a section specifically for either certificate programs or
Oh, I
degree
love that.
programs, or even just things that last, because if it's a 6-week program, it's kind of difficult to put those on my calendar. They don't really fit in with
Right.
just an event. So
Right.
I've been trying to gel that in my head now for about almost a year now, trying to figure out how I want to get that
Oh,
going.
that would be exciting. I mean, it's just a one-stop shop, you know, for
Like I said,
anything that you need. Yeah.
it's what I want.
Well, yeah, I love that idea about putting on, what's going on. Because I know sometimes people will ask me, where can I go to learn this and where? And I'm like, go to conferences, go to whatever. But to put, the degree programs and certification things on there too, all I have to do is send them to one website.
That
Say,
that's kind of my
there you
goal, to have it.
go.
And I'm not trying to definitely not trying to take anything away from the societies or anything. Like I
No.
said, everything I put on here links to
Yeah.
their web pages and all.
And we all need all the help we can get with our societies,
Absolutely.
getting the word out. Mary, did you want to ask a question? I thought it looked
Well,
like
I
you
was
maybe
just going to
wanted to.
comment on, I mean, often I will see on different Facebook groups, people that are saying, I'm thinking of becoming certified. What should I do for my education? And so to be able to refer people to a site that's going to talk about Boston University or ProGen or different kinds of programs,
Yeah, and just
would
send
be
them to
really
one place.
wonderful.
Exactly. Yeah. I really love that. Okay, get on that, Tami. Start of a new year. Let's get that on there.
Yep. Gotcha. Well, I'm hoping that the Seton Shields grant will free me up a little bit more, that I can get that situated. What I'd like to also do, but it costs a little bit of money that don't know that I'm ready to put out yet, is right now, like I said, I have the one calendar and everything is on it. I'd like to have a separate calendar. I'd like to separate out maybe just meetings versus events, but definitely education opportunities, people that are, they're quarterly or they're 6-week events or that sort of thing. I'm trying to think how that's going to work. But I have so many plans, and if I could do this full time, I would, because I just love doing it.
Well, it's a wonderful, wonderful site, and
Thank you.
I just knew when I saw you got that grant, I thought, oh, we need to have Tami come on and talk to us because we all use it, and we need to get, and that's part of our goal is to get information out to people and let them know what's happening in the community, and we just like to talk. So and we like to talk genealogy. So we are so grateful that you came on tonight, and everybody go and get on Conference Keeper, and don't blow up the site, but everybody get on. Don't crash it. But if you don't already get an email, go ahead and sign up and get that email so you know what the events are coming up, and calls for papers.
It's one email a week. I don't.
Yeah, and I'm just joking. She's not gonna spam you. She's not gonna send you out something every day. And but at least you'll know what's coming up and what's new. And I find that so many people, when I speak, especially locally, they don't know about all these things. They don't know about the conferences. They don't know about if they decide they want to speak, how would I even go about doing that? How do I figure that out? Well, you got your call for papers. You got everything in there. It's just such a valuable site, and we appreciate all your hard work. I don't know how you do it. Like I said, you're a woman with many hats.
I told my husband today that I was really glad we were talking about this, because I could talk about Conference Keeper all day. I enjoy doing it so much. There's so many things I want to do with it, but and I'm really grateful to find out that it's helpful to people, because that's kind of the whole goal.
Oh yeah, it's very helpful. Does anybody have any last questions that they would like to ask Tami before we let her get going so she can get the stuff done on the site?
I'm good. I just love it.
Thank you.
Kathryn, what were you going to say?
I don't have a question, but I will let Tami know that I did subscribe while she was showing everybody the website. I kind of snuck in and subscribed, so I'll be totally up to date now on what's going on with Conference Keeper.
Oh, your skills just amaze me, because you know what would happen if I had tried to, well, I already get the emails, but if I had tried to do that, I would completely accidentally shut down the whole thing. I can't do two things at once. It would not be good. So
again, just to remind about the email, it's once a week email comes out, usually Sunday afternoon or evening, and it only lists the new things that have been added to the calendar. And then it'll list all the upcoming deadlines or that sort of things that you don't want to miss the coming week. But it's not a listing of everything.
Right. It's categorized, right? So
yes,
if you're looking for an event, or you're specifically looking for virtual, you can just scroll past the stuff that you're not interested in. Or
right.
I mean, I could scroll for hours and just read it all, but
no need to. That's not the point.
People who may not want to do that.
And you do have some genealogy to do.
it is only the new things though. So if you're scrolling through and there's only 3 things for that are in virtual, trust me, there are a couple hundred more already on the website. So
wonderful. Well, I encourage everybody to go ahead and go take a look and subscribe to the email and use this site. It's wonderful. There'll be things that you've probably not even known that you were missing. So thanks to Tami. Thank you, Tami, so much for coming on and talking.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. And panel, I love you guys. I'm so grateful that somebody shows up every week. And we have these great discussions. And so with that, we'll say goodnight, and we'll see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Night.